Hello there, everybody.
Hi.
Hey, see, when you're both coloured, nobody is. I'm not Adam Wilborn.
And I'm not Adam Wilborn either. He's on holiday.
He's not on holiday. He's in Amsterdam with a dog collar around his neck and a
Yeah.
couple of love eggs up his bum. So you've got us instead for the afternoon's roundup of wrestling news. It's the afternoon, isn't it? I never normally do this.
Maybe. This is good.
Do you have any life advice to give people?
F the police.
F the police. Great. What's our first news story?
We have all kinds of news. Well, we have to do the gimmick first.
What's the gimmick?
It's the news.
Oh, the news is here.
We are the news. Anyway, Sasha Banks, she's doing things again, as you might expect. A topic we've covered quite extensively over the past few days, but there's a new wrinkle to the whole thing. According to Shiggity Shagger Dave Meltzer on the most recent episode of the Wrestling Observer Radio, Sasha Banks is currently booked to appear on the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, which I believe is on May 19th. But word backstage is that she's probably not going to appear. She might no-show this whole event. There's also a slight wrinkle on the real reason. You know we love a real reason here at WhatCulture as to why her and Bayley were upset. Basically, there was the last-minute decision, obviously, to change the tag team titles at WrestleMania 35, but also, apparently, both of them are a little bit hacked off at the plans to split the Boss and Hug connection after WrestleMania, which we saw in the Superstar Shake-Up when Bayley was sent to SmackDown. Adam Cleary, what do you make of Sasha Banks no showing a pay-per-view?
Well, I don't know if she's going to no-show, because there's been a bit of a fan backlash to all of this Bayley Sasha thing, because a lot of people sort of support their position on, we should have made these belts legitimate, we could have gone through all the brands. Everybody kind of liked that idea, but a lot of people seem to think they're coming off as a bit entitled with all
childish,
of this.
maybe?
Yeah, there was all those reports about them writhing around on the floor in the locker room, perhaps have exaggerated that ever so slightly. So I don't know what to make of this. I don't think Sasha Banks would no-show a paper.
I don't think so either.
You're pretty much signing your own death warrant in WWE if you do that.
Yeah, I mean, and it doesn't exactly send out a very professional message if she then wants to go on and work for somebody like All Elite Wrestling. I believe Cody came out today, in fact, and said that we're only going to hire something like 5% of our roster is going to be ex-WWE people. So, stirring the pot there. I think it's an interesting little development. I don't know if the Sasha Banks protest will go on for that long. If it does, we're talking about this thing stretching into its 6th week. Unless WWE...
God, yeah, it is.
It really is. It started after WrestleMania. So unless WWE, properly Neville her, it's a big thing. But either way, this story just refuses to go away. And until she eventually either reappears on WWE television or gets a release, we're going to talk about it and get them clicks, baby.
I know she's going to, they're obviously disappointed because they do work together well, her and Bayley, and they could have done a lot for those women's tag team titles. But it's sort of... it's a good opportunity for this here now. They've separated her from Bayley across the brand. They can't put her in that never-ending will they, won't they feud now. They can't do the tag team thing with her, so they're going to have to give her a push as a singles competitor, and they do need, with Ronda gone, somebody near the top of the card for that.
Yeah,
so
that Raw division's bad.
Yeah, exactly, but she's one of the better elements
She
of
is.
it, so you'd think this is a good opportunity for her. But hey, what can we say about sneaking into the mind of somebody like that? Speaking of somebody's mind that we're going to sneak into.
Oh, wow.
Great segue. We missed Wilborn already.
Yes.
Remember how Daniel Bryan had that really, really horrible phase of his life where he was injured all the time because of things he'd done to his brain?
Yeah.
Well, some slightly concerning reports coming off PWI's Mike Johnson in that he is currently nursing and being treated for an unspecified, undiagnosed, unrevealed injury. Apparently picked up a bit of a knock at WrestleMania, and WWE are not telling people what the nature of the problem is. Now, for anybody else, it's probably not the end of the world that I just haven't revealed what it is, but it's Daniel Bryan, a man who is still being checked for concussions and damage related to them after every single match he has to have. So if they're not telling us what it is, naturally that invites a level of speculation that it is not something good.
Yeah, this is kind of troubling stuff. It's obviously when people hear this kind of thing related to Daniel Bryan, they automatically assume the worst. It could be nothing.
It could absolutely be nothing.
Maybe he's got gonorrhea or something. I don't know. I hope he doesn't. That'd be rather burning.
Gonorrhea is really not vegan as well.
Yeah. I mean, we'd have to ask some serious questions about the man's lifestyle if that was the case. But either way, I mean, this isn't good. Daniel Bryan, everyone loves Daniel Bryan. He might be a heel or whatever, but he's bloody Daniel Bryan. We all followed him on this horrible journey while he was retired and his comeback and all this stuff. Apparently the injury, whatever it is, was occurred in that Kofi match, which is another shame. Such a critically acclaimed match, such a cathartic WrestleMania moment with this kind of downside to it.
Well, people are already putting two and two together with this, being that it was acquired in the Kofi match with the CM Punk testimony from his court case, where Kofi does that spring up roll clothesline thing, and that immediately concussed CM Punk. Now, this is wildly fanciful to try and put that together because we know nothing about the nature of the injury, we know nothing about the match, but it is an injury sustained in a match with Kofi Kingston, in which that move was done, if I remember correctly. So people are already starting to piece things together, which is why WWE should probably just tell people what this is, because it being Bryan, we're going to assume the worst, and with them being secretive about it, we're going to assume the worst. You've got to hope it isn't, because he's currently enjoying some career best work.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%, particularly in WWE. I mean, the match quality is through the absolute roof. Yeah, WWE really needs to come out. They need to clarify what this is, because until then, the internet is just going to be an absolute dumpster fire. Speaking of dumpster fires, the Superstar Shake-Up. That happened. It was really weird, but the rosters actually look pretty good. I'm
pretty much okay with what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, SmackDown is absolutely stacked. Anyway, one guy who didn't move was Samoa Joe, the United States Champion. He was supposed to jump to Raw, but he did not appear on Raw because the poor little boo-boo was suffering from a dose of the flu, apparently. That move is still going ahead, however. WWE are just going to delay the whole thing 1 week. They're going to move Samoa Joe onto Raw, and he's going to feud with Braun Strowman, who he brawled with on the SmackDown after WrestleMania. Now, this is no huge surprise, but it comes to us via Shiggity Shagger Dave once again on Wrestling Observer Radio. Love you, Dave. This makes all the sense in the world. After the Superstar Shake-Up was done, everyone was like, why have SmackDown got two mid-card titles? Where's Samoa Joe? They've got Finn Balor and Samoa Joe. Don't make any sense. Well, it is going to make sense, because Braun versus Joe sounds like one hell of a big beefy battle between two big beefy boys, and I'm all for it.
That's you told internet. Yeah, it was a bit odd, this one. I mean, there was all those reports leading up to the Raw and SmackDown after the Superstar Shake-Up one.
Yes.
That there was all this travel chaos, and people weren't going to be there, and Vince was just going to have to pluck people for different shows based on whoever was turning up on
Gangrel, you're back! And in.
And he does rock 2K.
He does.
The weird thing about Samoa Joe, though, is that I can't imagine him ever being laid up in bed with the flu.
No,
just like my Samoa Joe, box set of Friends on, little mug of Horlicks, and then just like loads of random tissue spread around the bed while he goes,
Well, it is spring. Maybe next week they'll delay this even further when Braun gets hay fever. Who knows? Is that
the plot of War of the Worlds?
It might be.
Pretty much.
Either way, it's obviously a good move. This is not necessarily anything new. This story was speculated quite heavily throughout the week. But as we all know, Shagger Dave is never wrong. He is always right, 100% on the money every single time. So it's nice to have some kind of confirmation from the most respected journalist in the business.
Speaking of Shagger Dave, guess what else he's dropped on us today? Luke Harper, you may have heard, has requested his release from WWE. Posted a big old soapy titwank thanking everybody, making it sound like he was just about to leave and depart for pastures new. But nuh-uh, he has not been officially granted his release as of the time of us recording this, and he also has 6 months left on his contract. It does not expire until November, which means conceivably WWE could freeze that until the end of it, and then still put a no-compete clause on him for 90 days, meaning he might not get to wrestle again until, what's 3 months after November? February. February next year could be the next time you see him in a ring.
Wow.
Which is, given that he'd already posted, I just want to thank WWE from the bottom of my heart, everybody from the top to the bottom. You've made this the most wonderful experience of my life. We'll see you in 9 months' time, maybe, in that case. So this is, Dave's called this an interesting strategy.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly one way to put it. The other side of this as well is because Harper was recently out injured for 6 months, not only could they freeze it in the manner that you just described, but they could also feasibly freeze it for another 6 months like they did to Rey Mysterio a few years ago when he was injured and he wanted his release. I don't think they'd do that. That seems very spiteful for a guy who is, by all accounts, one of the most well-liked people in the locker room and an all-round bloody good man.
You know what you've just said there, right?
Yeah, I do.
You don't think they'll do that?
Nah, I don't. No. Yeah, they're going to do it, aren't they? The absolute jamokes. The other thing about this is that it looks like Harper is going for the Ty Dillinger approach of going public before the story came out otherwise, which worked for Dillinger. He was released pretty much straight away, which was kind of odd given that WWE just kind of hoard everyone at the moment. They don't want anyone to leave. They don't want other promotions to have potential assets on the books. Perhaps there's an aspect of, if it goes public, WWE might not want the backlash if they say no, but since when has Vince McMahon ever given a crap about that?
You've just said the Ty Dillinger approach. If that becomes a legitimate thing where superstars are looking at how they can get out and using a Ty Dillinger approach, WWE obviously going to come up with some kind of counter strategy for this. And if that is literally locking you down for your contract, making an example of anybody, it's probably likely to be Luke Harper. He is, I mean, I did the news report on him yesterday, and the comments were 50-50 divided between, oh, who cares, it's only Luke Harper, and, oh my god, I love Luke Harper, I hope they let him go so he can finally become the wrestler he deserves to be. And I guess there's not going to be an overwhelming clamour to see Harper set free from his contract. There is obviously a big interest in him. A lot of people would be excited to see him wrestling in other promotions, but there's not going to be an overwhelming internet backlash as there would be with any number of other people who could request their release. So if they are going to try and make an example out of anybody, it could well be Luke Harper. At 39 years old as well, I don't really think he can afford to sit around for the better part of 9 months, especially when, in that time, think of all the things he could miss.
39 years old, dodgy knee, just come back from hand surgery. I like Luke Harper. Let's hope it works out for him.
Me too. What else do you do on these shows?
Twitter questions. Here we go.
These are always death.
Yeah, Adam Wilburn has an intro for these. I can't remember what it is. So, number one, this comes from James McHugh. Hey guys, with AJ Styles now on Raw, could we see AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship at SummerSlam?
I hope not, because one of us is doing trying to predict WrestleMania 36 1 year out, and that's the championship match he's got. So I sure hope not. But we absolutely could. With them moving certain people over, we are looking at now the feuds we're going to get through the summer. And Styles, who's a ready-made main event championship challenger, looks a really good fit for somebody like Seth, who's going to be in need of just regular opponents now that aren't either his former brothers or 8 foot taller than he is.
People he hasn't wrestled 700 times in a row.
That too.
I mean, it's a great match between two of the consensus best wrestlers in the company. It would be over as hell. The crowd would pop. Sure, why not? Let's do it.
But don't do it,
Yeah. Don't mess up adding Louis stuff. Don't
touch my stuff.
Question number 2 comes from Aaron Atkin. Do you think WWE should bring Pete Dunne to SmackDown after his feud with Walter is done? Or do you think it would be a good idea putting him on 205 Live for 6 months and making him Cruiserweight champ a la Buddy Murphy?
Well, this is the thing. I was just going to say, your overwhelming reaction to that is, no, do not do that. Do not put him on 205 Live. But if Buddy Murphy is going to transition nicely into a main roster superstar, he's proved he's got the ability to do it. He's got the straw power to do it. I mean, he crossed out best kept secret on his trunks at WrestleMania, which I thought was a very fitting way to announce himself to the remainder of the company. Yes, in theory, 205 Live should be a really good transitional phase between developmental and the main roster. It should be that. And it has gotten a lot better recently, but the fact is not enough people are watching it still. The product's been excellent by all accounts, but it's just it doesn't get the eyes on it. And I think Buddy Murphy's become a bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? Bit of an
anomaly?
An anomaly in that regard. I was going to say
words.
I was trying not to say a flower that's growing out of a pot of poo, but you know what I mean. And we'll go with anomaly.
I mean, Aria Davari's on that brand, so.
He just kind of come out. What's that? What is that?
Shoot.
Oh, right. Yeah, cool. They should do that.
Yeah, I can't remember what we're talking about. 205 Live, great product, but it's a product that people have been conditioned not to care about, so I'm always reticent to say that popular stars should go there. However, Pete Dunne is great and you can probably get it over. Anyway, next question comes from @SoloHeel_DSA, serial commenter, legend of the channel. What do you think of Ember Moon as a possible number 1 contender for Becky Lynch's SmackDown Women's title, the Man versus the She-Nom?
Exactly the same thing as I've just said for Rollins and Styles. We are going to have to get some very interesting summer programs now with different kind of matchups, people working people they haven't worked 800 times already, and Ember Moon is a natural fit for that. When they brought her up to the main roster, she was earmarked as a big challenger. Some people had her as an outside shout for this year's Rumble.
Yeah,
that's the level she's regarded in. So yeah, I'd love to see that one.
Great match. They already started taking shots at each other on Twitter this week as well, I
like
believe.
That, yeah.
So if you like brutal Twitter takedowns, if you like Becky Lynch absolutely walloping people, check all that
Sorry,
stuff out.
What did you call Ember Moon there?
The She-Nom.
What's the other thing she goes by? Is it the War Goddess?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't actually say war on Raw, apparently. Yeah, they don't. Vince doesn't like people saying war, so you've got to change your name. But yet, Ember Moon goes by the War Goddess. Wow, that seems like it could have completely avoided a major problem they've had this week.
Preferential treatment.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, rubbish. Anyway, and finally, could have just said and finally there, didn't need the anyway. We've got some stuff. You've got a story, haven't you?
Have I? Oh, yeah. Rich
Right.
in the office got pooed on by a bird. We just thought you'd all let know.
Sorry, Rich. And also, we want to give a big shout out to this man on SmackDown this week, as pointed out to us by Tom Wells on Twitter during the Carmella and R-Truth segment.
Oh
on
my
SmackDown
god.
This week.
Oh my god.
Guess what's in the crowd? A nice big sign with This Is the News. Very, very much appreciated. Thank you so much, whoever that was. And if you're watching this, let us know. We'll give you a shout out.
Slightly awkward because, as we all know, it's actually the news is here.
Yeah.
Or welcome to the news.
We are the news.
We are the news.
It is the news.
But thanks for trying.
Also, like to point out that I seem to be in the front row.
That is interesting.
So,
Why are you? I'm assuming the picture's on screen somewhere now. So they can see what we're looking at.
Yeah, this is quite the thing. I don't know how I didn't notice that because you just turned around. Anyway.
Didn't know you owned a tie.
I know, barely own a t-shirt. Anyway, thank you for joining us on this rather ramshackle and thrown together edition of Welcome to the News. I've been Andy Murray. You can follow me at Andy H. Murray. The H stands for hairy. I don't know.
Hairy?
Yeah.
Hepatitis. I've been Adam Cleary. Get me on Twitter at Adam Cleary CLERY. You know all the rest of the stuff. Like, share, subscribe. Let us know what you thought of all the news. If you got any of your own, Dave, then get it in the comments below. And that's it. Yeah.
Bye.
See you later.